I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. I'm Julie Simon, President of the Chamber of Commerce. This is a unique opportunity and the first time we've done this sort of thing for as long as I can remember. We are thankful for our host tonight, which is Gillette Urgent Care. They are our sponsor and our business mixer for tonight, and we're grateful for them and the opportunity that they've given us to combine a couple of things and to let Representative Lummis be here tonight to speak to all of you and for all of you to have the chance to ask questions of her. I have a few people I need to recognize tonight. The Chamber of Commerce, we have a lot of people that help us do what we do, and we wouldn't be able to do that without our President's Circle sponsors. We'd like to thank Bresnan Communications, Powder River Coal, Peabody Energy, Golden Hills Resort, and Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad for helping us with all the things that we do throughout the year. We'd like to thank, like I said, Urgent Care, again, for their sponsorship and for those that catered for them tonight. And we'd like to recognize our energizers. They're our ambassadors from the Chamber of Commerce. They're the ones that you see in the red coats and the red jackets that are standing around. I'd like to thank them. We'd also like to recognize Dan Coolidge with the Commissioner's Office that's here tonight. We're thankful thank him for coming tonight. I have all these lists that I'm trying to read from. So we'd also like to recognize Dr. Timothy Hallinan that's here with us tonight. And also, last but certainly not least, our board members from the Chamber of Commerce, Carla Feeblecorn, Gillette Wynn Nelson, Eric Raisler, Business Excellence, Van Ewing, Ewing Construction, Daryl Meyer, Farmers Cooperative, Vern Shield, Black Hills Corporation, and Pat Davidson, Daly Davidson and Sorensen. So we'd like to thank all of those people for being here tonight and supporting this event. You know, there's also one other person that I want to thank tonight, and it's a staff member. She's put in a lot of work to put this together tonight, and she's been running all day, doing physical as well as mental labor for us, and that is Tracy Matthews. She is our office manager, and she's the one that put all this together tonight. Cynthia Lummis was elected to represent the people of Wyoming in the U.S. House of Representatives in 2008. She was raised on her family ranch in Laramie County and graduated from the University of Wyoming with bachelor degrees in animal science and biology. In 1979, Cynthia became the youngest woman ever elected to the Wyoming legislature. She returned to the University of Wyoming for a law degree, which she received in 1985. She then clerked for the Wyoming Supreme Court, practiced law in Cheyenne, and served a total of 14 years in the Wyoming House and Senate, concentrating on natural resource and taxation issues. She completed her legislative service in 1994 and then chaired Governor-elect Jim Geringer's transition team. She continued to work in the governor's office for 2 more years, primarily on natural resource issues. She also served as the interim director of the Office of State Lands and Investments. She was elected Wyoming State Treasurer in 1998. In 8 years, 2 terms as Wyoming State Treasurer, she converted Wyoming's primarily fixed income investment portfolio of $3.5 billion to a fully diversified portfolio of equities, real estate, and fixed income investments, public and private, domestic and international, totaling $8.5 billion. Her term of office as State Treasurer ended in January 2007. Please help me welcome Representative Cynthia Lummis.
Thank you kindly. I want to thank Urgent Care for being your sponsors and thank the Chamber for this lovely event. If you can hear me and want to stand in the shade, don't hesitate to go back by Urgent Care, or there's shade over here on this side, and feel free, if you're getting uncomfortably hot, to come stand in the shade over here. I'm delighted to be here. I was with my Chief of Staff, Tucker Fagan, and Matt Jones, who is our field representative based out of Sheridan, Wyoming, horseback today, just northwest of Buffalo, looking at an area called the Rock Creek area, which is part of the Forest Service that has been recommended by the Forest Service for wilderness designation. So we were horseback for 5 hours and it was warm, so I understand about getting a little toasty. So if you want to move, don't hesitate to, and welcome and thank you for coming. I'm going to talk primarily about healthcare and cap and trade, but as you all know, they come on the heels of 7 months of reckless spending by Congress, including issuing the rest of the TARP money without accounting for the first half, including a $787 billion stimulus package, less than 7% of which has been for infrastructure. Interest on top of that makes the whole package $1.1 trillion. Then the 09 budget with 8,500 earmarks, totaling $410 billion, followed by the 2010 budget, the largest budget in history, $3.6 trillion, and spending that takes our debt as a nation higher than from George Washington through George W. Bush combined. When you hear that, that is a true statement. We are putting at jeopardy our children and our grandchildren's financial future for gains today that have had very little stimulative effect on an economy that can recover naturally if we just give it a little boost in terms of tax credits and infrastructure development. I co-sponsored a bill that would do just that. We had a stimulus package that would have cost $315 billion less and created twice as many jobs. And it was rejected by a majority that was more interested in the gotcha politics and the big earmarks that are characteristic of this new administration. The American people's attention was focused on cap and trade by virtue of all of the spending that I just described. So when cap and trade came along, the American people were paying attention. What was Congress's response? It was to pass the largest tax increase in history by way of cap and trade onto the American people in the form of increased energy taxes. And they will be passed on to you in the form of higher gas and diesel bills, higher heating bills, air conditioning costs, energy costs, and they are going to be done on the backs of our fossil fuels, especially coal, coal being 50% of the nation's electricity. Coal states, those being states that either produce coal or use coal for the majority of their electrical energy, are the consumers that will be bearing the costs of cap and trade for those few states that have hydroelectric power, nuclear power, and a small array of non-traditional sources of energy. In other words, the coasts. That's why you saw such an enormous outcry of members of Congress from the center of the country against cap and trade. It is shifting the costs to those of us in the center of the country. Wyoming being first, because we have the largest percentage of our electricity that is generated from coal, in addition to being the #1 coal-producing state in the nation. The bill that I co-sponsored on energy reform would have taken monies from drilling on the outer continental shelf, which the coastal states do not want, and plowed it into carbon sequestration technology, coal to diesel technology, coal to fuels technologies, as well as developing and enhancing other non-traditional sources of energy, such as wind and solar and expanding nuclear, which is 20% of our total electricity, because that is a zero carbon emission source of energy. All of that was opposed by the majority party. The day the House voted on cap and trade at 3:09 a.m., an amendment was dropped on the House of in excess of 300 pages that we did not have time to read before that bill was voted on. That offended America's sensibilities, and it should have. So now, going into this huge healthcare debate, the American people are saying, have you read the bill? What will it cost? What will it do to my healthcare costs, my accessibility, my insurance rates, and my relationship with my physician and healthcare providers? Those are the right questions for the American people to be asking. And certainly, when the American people go to town meetings and gatherings such as this, they are asking the right questions. And members of Congress who support the bill that they've introduced and that they reported out of the House Energy and Commerce Committee the Friday before we recessed for summer break, better have answers to those questions. We have the health care bill with us. It is 1,018 pages. We are reading it as we cross the state. We have found people who've read it, who've put on the internet summaries of the bill, making specific reference to page and line, so you can go look for yourself if you want to see that they are not being unduly hysterical about concerns with the effects of this bill. Basically, the bill will shift from the private sector to the public sector health care. It will do it by creating a public option, as it's called, but the public option is only optional if your employer wants to pay a huge penalty on top of the health insurance that employer provides for its employees. Most employers, when they calculate the costs, are realizing that it's cheaper to pay the penalty and shift their employees onto the public option than it is to keep the health care themselves. So when the president says, if you like your health care now, you can keep it, that is incorrect if you have your health care through your employer. Additionally, no more new individual policies will be issued after the effective date of the bill. If you want to go out and get your own private insurance policy after the effective date of the majority party's bill, that will be forbidden under the law. Furthermore, as you know, there are provisions in the bill that require certain counseling as elderly issues arise. Furthermore, there are penalties, surcharges, and additional taxes that are used to help pay for the bill, along with reductions in Medicare reimbursements. Reducing Medicare reimbursements in rural states will have a dramatic effect on the accessibility and availability of healthcare in rural areas, because right now, rural hospitals and rural physicians are not reimbursed at the same rate as urban physicians and urban hospitals. They received a lesser rate of reimbursement, in fact, a below-cost rate of reimbursement. By further reducing the rate of reimbursement of physicians and hospitals in Wyoming, we can be assured that more medical practices will choose not to take Medicare patients anymore. The news is not good about the Democrats' majority bill, and that is why alternatives need to be negotiated. We are very fortunate that our U.S. Senator Mike Enzi is positioned where he is. The Enzi 10-point plan for health care is the right way to go. It allows people to keep their own health care. It allows individuals the same deductions that businesses receive on their income tax for their insurance policies. It provides that groups can form across state lines through your churches, your fraternities, your unions, your Rotary clubs, alumni associations, in order to create insurance pools that reduce risk. And it has additional provisions for saving for your own health care tax-free. I am a big supporter of Mike Enzi's plan. Many of the provisions of Senator Enzi's plan have been incorporated into a House bill that I'm co-sponsoring, and more importantly, Senator Enzi is working 6 to 8 hours per day every day with 5 other members of the U.S. Senate who are drafting a health care alternative to this massive federal intervention that is the majority party's bill. Senator Enzi is the most conservative member of that 6-member team. I talked to Senator Enzi a couple of days ago, and he is finding that as he tries to pull that group of 6 to a more conservative point of view and then leaves the meetings, even Democrat members of the U.S. Senate saying, please, please, stick to your guns. We want a bill that we can support. And so, as you can see, Senator Enzi is a key player, and a lot of members of Congress, House and Senate, are putting a lot of their prayers and hope on Senator Enzi. So I want you to know, you should be so proud of him. That group of 6 will have until around the middle of September to come up with an alternative. If they cannot, I believe that the President will